As part of Wheatley's plan to confront GLaDOS, Chell must stop the turret production process. This brings us to the map Turret Sabotage. On this level, the player witnesses the turret assembly line and is tasked with stopping it. So, how do the world's best speedrunners get it done? Well, first let's highlight how the player progresses here. They have to get through this doorway at the edge of the room. By replacing the functional template turret from the turret control room, Wheatley will open a door which allows the player to access this exit. Unfortunately for speedrunners, there's a lot of dialogue that's prohibiting the player from progressing at their own pace. Since we aren't on the authentic testing track, the game makes sure to give us a lot of unskippable dialogue to give the player a clear direction, but ends up making this level quite slow. When the player first enters the turret control room, they have to listen to Wheatley ramble for 25 seconds before he hacks the control room, giving the player access to the template turret.
Done. Hacked.
Additionally, once the player replaces the master turret, Wheatley takes another 25 seconds before opening the exit door from the control room. These dialogues are incredibly slow, so naturally, speedrunners and glitch hunters use their extensive knowledge of glitches to bypass this downtime. The portal bump is a glitch that allows the player to place a portal in sneaky places. By shooting a portal on top of another portal, the game will bump the portal to the side, as you cannot create overlapping portals. This mechanic gives the portal gun a fluid feel when being used to solve puzzles, but it gets pretty glitchy when you consider that the game does not check for walls between the portal bump. This means that if a portal surface is separated by a wall, the player can easily bypass this wall by using a portal bump, and this is exactly what we see in the turret control room. The player can portal bump into the cubby with the template turret, skipping the 25 seconds of dialogue needed to normally progress. However, this strategy still feels relatively slow due to the additional 25 seconds of waiting afterwards. So, what if we were able to skip the turret control room altogether? This is obviously easier said than done, especially when you consider that there are massive invisible walls surrounding the catwalk. So, we're going to have to use a special type of glitch to escape. Defective turret boosting is one of the more unique glitches in the game. It requires 2 defective turrets, but lucky for us, Turret Sabotage is the only map in the single-player campaign where you can obtain defective turrets. These turrets have incredibly fascinating hitboxes when they collide with each other. While the normal hitboxes are pretty refined, for some reason, 2 defective turrets basically repel each other. I'm serious, pick up one of these bad boys and you'll feel like you're on the Olympic curling team. So with this in mind, how can we gain height using these defective turrets? Well, let's talk about item mechanics for a bit. Using the portal gun, Chell can grab one object at a time. The object levitates in front of her at a fixed distance, and this fixed distance is only altered if the player is close to a wall. The most jarring thing about objects in a grabbed state is that they lose all collision with the player. However, it can interact with everything else. For example, when you're holding a cube, it can activate a button, but Chell cannot jump on it. The only way the player can interact with this cube is if they let go. This idea is incredibly important when we use the defective turret boost, as we're going to create a flying machine. One of the turrets will be grabbed by the player, and can interact only with physics entities that are not the player. The other turret will be placed below Chell. By doing a precise lineup, the turret that is held will push the other turret that has collision upwards. Basically, the turret we cannot touch is manipulating the turret that we can touch. Because these turrets have such peculiar collision with each other, the player hovers straight upwards. Once in action, this flying machine can gain seemingly infinite height. Using this glitch, we can easily clear the tall invisible walls, and skip the turret control room altogether. This skip saves about 15 seconds over the portal bump strat, but ends up becoming a lot more challenging. In addition to the precise setup to create the flying machine, and troubles navigating the invisible walls at the top of the chamber, randomness is introduced when incorporating the turret fly strategy. A turret spawns every 5 seconds on the assembly line, and there is a 50% chance of a defective turret spawning. Since we need 2 of these turrets, the chances of optimal turret spawns become 25%. While this isn't anywhere close to impossible odds, you are more likely to get bad luck than good luck, making the strategy incredibly frustrating, as Portal 2 speedruns typically have 0 randomness. Funnily enough, despite not actually tampering with the template turret, GLaDOS still spawns defective turrets when you meet her in the core chamber, as the game assumes that if you made it to the chamber, you must have altered the turret assembly line. However, why would we go up and around an obstacle when we could just go straight through it? The pancake shot is one of the miracle discoveries of the Portal 2 speedrun. These door models are present in many of the areas outside of the official testing course, and they have one of the coolest properties. Router Kurziehow discovered that in this door texture, there is an incredibly small gap around the top edge. This seam is about 0.045 wide in in-game units, which is incredibly tiny. However, this is just big enough to squeeze a portal through. As a result of how small this area is, it is deemed flatter than a pancake, hence the name. By doing an incredibly precise setup, the player can line up a portal shot through the door and land a portal on a stray portalable wall. This bypasses all of Wheatley's dialogue and skips the need to even interact with the turret assembly line. This strategy ends up being about 5 seconds faster than the defective turret boost, as we completely circumvent waiting for the turrets to be tossed off the assembly line. That's it. Despite the evolution of glitches, this chamber comes down to just one click of the mouse. I mean, after all, why would we need defective turrets when we already have a defective door?